I'm here with Andy Costigan. Tonight was the Meet the Players event, and the players seem to be well received by the supporters. How important is that?
Oh, it's very important, Richard, because a lot of these guys are new to town, they're new to the club, they're new to the UK, and first chance to meet the supporters and have a bit of fun, and introduce themselves and find out what the club's about. It's important because it's early doors and early impressions. It doesn't matter what the walk of life is. First impressions count, and I think talking to some of the guys as they've just been leaving, I think they've enjoyed it. Certainly Omar, who I think is going to be a real character on the squad, he's well impressed.
I hear that some of the guys only arrived today. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Simon Mangos, Jeff McMillan, Sean Stark, and Brian Posmo flew into Glasgow at 8 o'clock this morning. And we got them down here for 2 o'clock this afternoon, but they had very little sleep on the flight, and they didn't have a great deal of sleep on the way down the M74 and the M6 either. But fair play to them, they weren't going to miss the night. Every one of them said, no, we're coming, we want to go and meet the fans, and fair play to them. And that's the kind of character that Tony's looked to recruit, guys who will go that extra mile. Okay, it's not a game situation, but some of these guys are tired. I mean, Scott Fankhauser did 4 flights in 4 days. Didn't know whether he was coming or going when he came in. And like I said, those 4 guys this morning, they were wiped out when they got off the plane. But fair play to them. They've all come tonight, and I think that bodes well.
Tonight's been all about the players that did sign for Manchester, but of course recently we had one who signed for us and then decided not to come along. How does that make you feel?
Well, it was disappointing, Richard, because Tony put the work in with the agent. We made the contract offer. Tony rang me and said, could I do the paperwork for him, which we did. We got it over to the agent within 90 minutes of everything being agreed. I then phoned the agent and told him the urgency, which we then confirmed by email as well, because the urgency was for the guy to get the contract signed so that we could apply for the work permit. The quicker we can get the work permit, the quicker we can get it to him to apply for the visa from the consulate in Ottawa. And it was a bit disappointing because we'd spoke to the agent, we told him what we needed, and he said, yep, fine, not a problem. Then the paperwork didn't come through. So then we contacted the agent, he said, I don't know. So we phoned the player. And the player again said, yeah, I'm keen, I'm ready to come. He was all up for it. Probably on the phone the most enthusiastic of any of the guys we've signed, and that's nothing against the guys we've signed, but the guy was champing at the bit. So then we spoke to him again, and the following day the paperwork still hadn't come through, so I rang him again and said, look, Jean, I'm not being funny, but we want to get you in, and the only way we can get you in is to get your work permit. We can't do that without a signed contract. And he said, right, I'm doing it right now, I'm faxing it. So I said, smash it. This was about 2 o'clock in the morning. We get into the office the following morning, there's his contract. We've got all the paperwork lined up to go off to the work permit. It went. The work permit people, I've got to give them fantastic credit. The following day, quickest turnaround we've ever had on a work permit application, it was back. And so was the email from him saying he'd changed his mind. So, very disappointing. And the most frustrating part, obviously, is we'd done everything we could and we worked really hard to get it. And the guy was champing at the bit. But something has made him change his mind. I suspect it's personal. He hasn't gone into detail, and in fairness, there's no point in flogging a dead horse. We have to move on. He's made his decision. Whether it's the right one or not, only time will tell for him. But as we said, better did he do it now than if he'd come in 3 weeks' time. We paid for flights, etc., 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 and then he decides it's not for him and he wants to go home. So disappointing, not annoying, disappointing.
But it is all about moving on now, and we say that we've got offers out on new players who are going to fill in that remaining spot. Any clues on who we're approaching?
Tony's made a definite contract offer to a North American player. We're hoping to hear tonight or latest Monday evening on whether he's going to accept the offer. We think he will, but again, the other guy was champing at the bit and he didn't come. This guy's not champing at the bit, so the chances are he will come. It swings and roundabouts. But in the event that he says no, we've now got a further stopgap situation with another guy that we've verbally made an offer to. So if plan A goes pear-shaped, plan B will kick in. If plan B goes pear-shaped, then it's back to the drawing board.
How confident are you that we're going to have a full roster before we take on Sheffield next week?
Again, if Plan A works, every chance. Actually, giving a little clue, if whichever Plan A or B comes to fruition, they should be in time to play against Sheffield at the weekend. Of course, they might not have very little time to practice with the rest of the squad, but touch wood, they will be in for the weekend. Certainly, they will be here for the start of the season when we go to the NIC and take on the Panthers.
We talked earlier on as well in the section before the players were introduced about the seats going in. The seats are going to be going in within the next 3 weeks. How important is that?
Oh, massively, because we've got people who want to sit in those seats. We've got people who want season tickets in those seats, and obviously, it gives us the increased capacity. The increased capacity is important for the club in terms of income generation, because the business plan is not worked on crowd figures of 1,500, which is the limitation on seats at the moment. The business plan is worked on figures exceeding 1,500. Without the seats, it would be a struggle. So the seats are absolutely paramount to us.
Are we still hoping for some full houses this year?
Oh, I would think we'll have some full houses this year. I would think so. I'll be disappointed if the Sheffield games aren't close to capacity. I'd be disappointed if the Coventry games aren't close to capacity. And I think Nottingham will bring their fair share of supporters as well. Cardiff normally bring good support. I think we've got some real good opportunities for some cracking atmosphere in that building, with in excess of 2,000 people in it. Put it like that.
Andy Costigan, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, Richard. Never a chore.